Then move to the closing, and the closing خلاص. We need to make sure that everything is done through the or matching with the objectives of the project. So simply ask yourself, everything is achieved in the based on what? Based on the waterfall, you have the acceptance criteria in the scope and order or the specification. يعني we need to match the specification reviewed by the customer. طب for the agile the same, but only change in the terminology. So instead of saying acceptance criteria, you will say DOD, definition of done. By who? It's reviewed by the product owner. Also, there is I'm just remember some ideas from the questions. One another term called DOR. DOR. So assume the customer says, in order to me to give you the acceptance, you must finish the website with feature 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the point. This is DOD. So DOD initiated by the product owner or the customer to the team. Nice. Then the team would say, okay, sir, we understand it, but we cannot start without giving us the permission to use the website. Give us the account, the credential. In this case, this is called as DOR. Definition of ready. Definition of ready. So definition of
DOD
ready,
is what?
DOR, definition of ready.
Yeah, but DOD
DOD, definition of done.
done. Okay.
Definition of done. So the definition of done here is initiated by the customer based on the specification, and the definition of ready is issued by the team requesting for more clarification, like similar to the RFI. Remember RFI, request for info? The vendor send it to the customer asking for info, or saying we cannot start without giving access.
Yes.
Type objective is done. Yes. So start the closing activities. Sometimes the objective is no longer valid. Like for example, no fund, not feasible. The project is not feasible. The vision is changed in the project charter. New regulations, major risk happen. In this case, for this case, the vendor, not the vendor, the product owner or the sponsor will say, we don't need this project. خلاص. يعني no money, no fund, whatever. You as a project manager, you must also do the closing process. Regardless the reason, you must do the closing process of the project. Okay? So you must close the project regardless the reason. Either objective is done completely, or the objective is not done and the customer will terminate the project, even if the customer will terminate you from the project and bring another company. Again, you need to close the project. Type, what are the closing activities? You get the acceptance in case you are done as per the objective. You make the acceptance, getting the acceptance, or giving that transition to the next vendor. Transition maybe to another company, or transition to the operation side. Transition here means providing training to the operation people, providing manual operation. Regardless required as per the contract. This is intermediate level called as transition, or providing 6 months support. Type, notifying the enterprise, your organization, and the organizational functions, updating the lesson learned in the OPA, organizational process asset. And this you can name it as the cupboard of your company. The cupboard, AAF, is the culture of the company, and OPA, organizational process assets, is the place that you put all the lesson learned, all the historical data, everything from the previous projects. Prepare final report, release the resources. These are the major closing activities you do. Then, again, a final approval based on what? Based on the objective. Where? You wrote it in the project charter. You get it from where? From the business case and benefit management plan document. You know? So again, you come back now to connect the closure with the initiation, because the whole project is created for one objective, or yani group of objectives. Now you need to make sure it's connected again, and this will be ensured, reviewed by the in the waterfall, in the waterfall is the sponsor or the customer. In the agile is the product owner or the customer. Okay, and in both scenarios, the one who is realize the benefit, we name him as, or we name here as benefit owner. So the benefit owner works with the project manager and the project team to make sure that everything is finished properly. Normally, the waterfall, it's the sponsor or the operation manager, maybe the customer, and maybe the business analyst in your company, because you are the project manager, receive a contract from the company based on certain purpose. So as per the PMP, the objective you get it from the management, okay, or from the sponsor, the one who pays the money. But the customer provide requirements. I need one, two, three, four. It's difference between the objective and requirement. So in the exam, consider any objective is related to the management or the sponsor. Any requirements related to the or received from the customer. But in the agile, normally you have only one person who is the product owner you deal with in the agile projects. Right. You ensure the value is obtained and submitted to the benefit owner, and then you may create the final report. You create the final report, the status of the scope, quality, schedule, the overall status you created, and then you finalize the lesson learned. And also important part of the project management of the PMP is to create regular lesson learned. So in the agile, at the end of each sprint, you make the retrospective and you update the document. And at the end of the project, you put it in the company assets or the operation organizational process assets. طيب, in the waterfall, you should have also the same report, Excel sheet simply. You write the topic, lesson learned, and the impact. So, for example, this is the Arctic topic. And here the lesson learned that when we submitted the document to the customer, we didn't make internal check, proper check. The impact, the approval delayed. And maybe you can put suggestions, or recommendation for the future. This sheet, it's very important for you, for your life experience in the project management and also for the company as well. Type. Then in case you have transition stage, you do it like training, documentation you provide, or certain communication with the team will come after you, or post implementation, or hypercare or support. In the agile, they name it as support stage, or warranty stage in the waterfall. And then you release and pay to the contractor, the vendors, and after that you release the resources, and then the closure phase is accomplished. So converting this into ECO. So
This is the shorter ECO.
yes, yes. So confirmed approach from knowledge approach for knowledge transfer. How we can share the knowledge to the from my project to the company. This is part of code of conduct, because ethically I should transfer the experience and put it in the company asset for the future. you know and طبعا this will not happen in the closure. It will happen in the closure, but you should prepare it from the beginning. So at the end of the project, you should have proper artifacts, proper process, proper lesson learned, proper reports. So you'll take the whole package at the end and submit it one side. Validate the readiness for the transition to the operation team, or the next phase will come after your site. Conclude activities, make the closure of the project, like final lesson learned, retrospective, finalizing your report, documentation agreement on the ownership for ongoing benefit realization, and verify the measurement system is in place to track the benefit. Nice. This is the main points of the ECO of the closure step. Type. Coming to the mindset بقى, يعني converting this to some examples as mindset of the exam. Again, you need to make sure of the verification and formal verification of the deliverables and formal acceptance. Ensure the completion of the scope. Avoid the usage trap, like the client usage doesn't replace formal sign-off. In many projects, and again, in many questions in the exam, you finish the work, the client started using your product, and the project manager considers this as final approval. No, the customer must sign. Okay, so using the deliverables is not a sign for the approval. So this is something different. Verify the requirement as requirement traceability matrix. You remember the table that we have created in the planning, the requirements and the connection with the objectives. You should recall it here because this is the specifications or the acceptance criteria based on that you will submit the work to the customer. Obtain written acceptance. Again, verbal acceptance is not enough. Plan the operational handoff. So you deal with the transition with the next team as plan, not just yalla, you have only 5 minutes to make the transition and that's it. Or maybe at the end of the project, the project manager will be replaced. The project manager will be sent to another place and they bring another one and a disaster will happen, you know. So you should make your work in a structured way, and to make it structured from the beginning you should have good mindset, يعني I mean good time to do it. Your mind should be clear, you know, not busy with the tiny tasks and day-to-day tasks. This is very important. Transfer the tacit knowledge, because explicit knowledge خلاص we put it in the lesson learned and in the document. What about the tacit knowledge? Tacit knowledge means the experience, the leadership. So if you couldn't make it during the project, your team members will not get any benefit from the tacit point of view. So during the project, you need to make sure that they are working together, having learning sessions, making peer to peer work or work shadowing to make sure they are transferring the proper knowledge. Confirm the operational readiness if this is included in your contract. Deliver the complete documentation for the financial closure and resource release. Release the project resource to their departments back or to the company head office in case that work if you are working at the site, yani, or come back to another project, yani to shift or transfer to another project. Close the contract and procurement. um, reconcile the financial accounts, close the budget, if there is any buffer, inform the management, you know. And again, for the exam, if you have any buffer in the time and the budget, inform the management and should be sent back to the management, which is not happening in the reality, because in the reality, the project manager normally keep it till the end of the project for any circumstances, and didn't inform the management until at the end of the project. طبعا this in case if everything is not open يعني, but normally with the new programs and automation systems everything is clear to the management. And of course terminate or release the asset. Conduct the constructive retrospectives and feedback, archive the records, update the OPA. OPA, again, organizational process asset of the organization. And this should be a system. I mean, the ownership of this should be the management of the company to make sure that all the projects are recorded and prepare the final report. Here for the benefit realization, assign the benefit ownership. Who is the benefit ownership? You should know it. And you should have a good relationship with him or her, because you are here at the end of the project, you are totally exhausted. So if you don't have energy and you don't have good relationship, it will be very tough to deal with others at this situation, you know. So so you should keep good relationship with this particular stakeholder by putting him in the high, for example. So manage him or her closely, validate the business value, enable benefit management to make sure that the system or the dashboards exist to track the expected expected outcome, and measure the stakeholder satisfaction by making like surveys or something like that. Sometimes here in the measuring the satisfaction of the stakeholders, we do one test called uh, I forget the name, but it's very famous. I remember the name here, but it's the methodology here is to send survey to Net Promoter Score, Net Promoter Score (NPS). In the NPS, you send survey to the customers or the customer members, asking them one simple question: would you be happy to work with us and recommend us to others? Give us from 0 to 10. 0 is totally no, and 10 is totally yes. After that, you see that you make collection and categorize them into three categories. From 0 to 7, this is detractor. Detractors يعني they are not happy. They will not help. From 7 to 8, this is passive, and from 8 to 10, from 9 to 10, from 9 to 10, this is promoters. Promoters يعني yes, we will help you. After that, you take the percentage. So for example, you say, okay, here we got like 40%.
But
Okay,
can you repeat what is the abbreviation for NPS?
net promoter score. Net
Net promoters.
promoter promoter score. Okay. So you say, okay, 40%, let's say you send to 10 people, four of them give us this, and they said we will see, and the remaining, which is okay, 60, so 40, خلاص, let's make this 20, so 60 said we will recommend you. So the equation here, net promoter score equals, you say the promoter minus the detractors. So here it's 60 minus 20 equals 40. So your net promoter score is 40 over 100. 40 over 100. The higher net promoter score, of course, the better. The higher the better, which means that all of them recommend that they will work with us again and they will recommend us to others, you know. This is also one point that can be uh, can be used for measuring the satisfaction level of the stakeholders.